In today's class, we will have a discussion about plastics processing. Okay, as I told you in the previous classes, we dealt with various finishing operations such as lapping, honing, and other operations like parkerizing, etc. Today we will start a new chapter in advanced manufacturing technology that is called plastics processing. Okay, so the chapter name itself indicates plastics processing means we have to process the given plastic so that the plastic will be converted into a useful product as per the requirement of the industry. Okay, this is the basic concept of plastics processing. Okay, then comes a question, what is the need to go for plastics processing? Okay, here in our industrial era, all the materials like metals which are extensively used in various industries cannot fulfill the requirements of the various industrial requirements like if you want to manufacture a product, okay, with the help of a metal. As you know, metal is highly conductive to electricity and highly highly exposed to corrosion. So to minimize or to avoid these intricacies of manufacturing, we will go for the processing of plastics. Plastics are widely used in the industry for manufacturing various products such as I am giving you a day to day life practical example of plastics. In your household, you will regularly use buckets for taking baths. So nowadays, all the households are using plastic buckets only. In olden days, what they used to do is either aluminum buckets or copper buckets. But as the trend moves on, there will be a rise in demand so that these products can be manufactured fastly and deliverable at the lowest cost. And also the product weight is less when compared to the conventional products like buckets, tunnels, bowls, okay, you can say mugs. So in this way plastics will find its own applications in the manufacturing industry. So that is the reason we are going for the processing of plastics. As I told you earlier, as I raised a question earlier, what is the need to go for processing of plastics? So up to now, whatever the clarification or whatever the discussion or whatever the comprehension that have been given by me is worth understanding that plastics processing is highly essential in the industry so that all the metals or non-metals will not satisfy the requirements of a typical industrial needs, thereby arising the need of a processing of plastics. Okay. So this is all about the brief description about plastics processing. Then we will discuss one by one what are the various methods or what are the various techniques that are available readily to process the plastics. Okay. So let us see one by one. So plastic, as you know, plastic is a material upon heating it will get softened. I repeat, plastics is a material upon heating, that means if you heat the plastics get softened, and vice versa, and vice versa. And upon cooling the plastics, they will be what we call, they will have the some shape it will occupy. Okay, or they will come back to its original position. So in this process of plastics, heating the plastics, thereby the plastics get softened, and the second step is cooling the plastics, thereby the plastics get the original shape. So in this entire phenomenon, what will happen? There is no chemical change of plastics. What I mean to say is, so if you heat a plastic, it will get softened. If you cool a plastic after heating, again it will regain its shape and size. In this overall process, the plastics will not get any chemical composition. Okay, so these type of plastics are known as thermoplastics. Okay, so in thermoplastics, there will be no change in chemical process of the plastics. So chemical, that means what I mean to say is, chemical in the sense here, the atoms in the plastics will not get affected if you take the thermoplastics. Okay, this is called thermoplastics. If you go for another plastics, there are some another plastics. If you heat those plastics, they will get softened, and after softening process, again if you cool those plastics, they will obtain a required shape and size, and they will not come back to its original shape. Okay, these plastics are called thermosetting plastics. Okay, so in this thermosetting plastics, chemical composition, the structure of chemical composition will takes place. Chemical composition will vary, will change. The change of chemical composition will takes place. But whereas in thermoplastics, there is no change in the chemical composition. That is the reason these thermoplastics will not take any shape or size even after this heating the Yes, or even after cooling the softened plastics. But whereas in thermosetting plastics, as the name indicates, thermosetting set thermosetting, as the name indicates, setting of a plastic into the desired shape and size as per the requirement with the help of a heat. So that is known as thermosetting plastics. So these two are the main classifications of plastics. Plastics are broadly classified into two categories. First one is thermoplastics, second one is thermosetting plastics. As of now, I explained the basic differences between the thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. Okay, so let us see what are the differences between thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. So, for suppose a question will be asked, a question will be asked in the end examination. Write the differences between thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. Then what you have to do, what you will do is, you make a table, left side thermoplastics, the left side column of the table you write thermoplastics, on the right side of the table you write thermosetting plastics. Then after this you have to write down the 3 to 4 points against thermoplastics and against thermosetting plastics. Thermoplastic, thermo, I am speaking about thermoplastics column. These thermoplastics are very cheap. Okay, whereas thermosetting plastics are costly. Okay, why thermosetting plastics are costly? Why? Because in thermosetting plastics, the plastic has to take the desired shape and size as per the requirement of the industry. When the thermosetting plastics is heated and softened and it is cooled, then it will take it the desired shape and size. So for performing all these operations and to obtain the required shape and size, these thermosetting plastics are obviously will incur more expenditure when compared to the thermoplastics. Okay, this is the basic difference between the thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. Okay, and then second difference between the thermoplastics. Thermoplastics are easily are easily processed. Thermoplastics are easily processed, and these thermoplastics will have the use in different industrial aspects, such as aerospace engineering, right? And you can say some research oriented projects, thermoplastics are required, and some research oriented projects, thermoplastics are required. So parallel to this thermoplastics, there will be thermosetting plastics. Thermosetting plastics are widely used in the industry in the day-to-day life of industrial needs. Okay. So most of the plastics used by the industries are thermosetting plastics only. Okay. So this is the second difference. Now if you go for the third difference, thermoplastics are basically a form of plastics which will not change its chemical composition during the process. Okay. For manufacturing thermoplastics, what I mean to say is, for manufacturing thermoplastics, there will not be any change in the chemical properties. So when it comes to thermosetting plastics, as you know, a thermoset plastic will take the desired shape and size as per the requirement of the industry. Obviously, thermosetting plastics will undergo chemical change during the heating, cooling process of thermosetting plastics. So these are the main three differences between the thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. Okay. So this is the basic idea you have to keep in mind, so that while continuing with other topics in this chapter called plastics processing, it will be of greater use, so that the topic will be understood very easily and you can interpret the topic very well, and also you can apply the topic as per the requirement. Then if you can apply the topic as per the requirement in the industry, then you are in a position to design a prototype of the topic of that particular plastic. Okay, so this is how the thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics are there, and the differences between these two categories of plastics I explained in detail. Okay, then we will switch over to another plastics processing methods like process techniques. We will have two types of techniques in the chapter called plastics processing. First technique is plastics process techniques. I repeat, we are having two types of techniques in the plastics processing. First technique is process techniques. Second technique is forming techniques. So in the process techniques, we will have different methods to process the plastics. Okay, or you can say we have different methods to to process the plastics. Some of the methods I will explain here to process the plastics. The first method is injection molding. Second one is transfer molding. Third one is this, what you can say, cast molding. Okay, then another molding techniques are there. Okay, so even though there are many molding techniques in the plastics processing, mainly widely used plastics processing techniques are injection molding, blow molding, transfer molding, okay. So these are the three major methods of plastics processing where a plastic is converted into the desired shape and size as per the industrial needs. Okay, so let us see. So these are the process techniques of plastics processing. In the process techniques, I have told you the first process technique is some compression molding, injection molding, and some blow molding, transfer molding. So compression molding, if you take compression molding, what will happen? The raw material of the plastics is in the form of liquid state. These are the, so all these are the molding techniques used for plastics processing to obtain a good quality product as per the requirement of industry. Okay. So out of these, first of all, we are studying about the plastics processing. In that, compression molding. So in the compression molding, what we will do is, there will be a chamber. In that chamber, the molten metal of the, what we can say, plastics will be poured into the chamber. Then what we will do is, we will slowly cool down the high temperature of molten metal of plastics to a certain degree of normal temperature. Okay, where our external force can be applied on the plastics. Then bringing back the molten metal to up, then bringing back the molten metal up to a certain temperature. There will be a ram and, you can say, piston. Ram or piston attachment is there in the compression molding. With the help of that, all the molten material will be compressed to a lower volume. Okay, so that the entire plastic molten metal will be compressed to the desired shape and size. So as I say, compression molding, the mold will be prepared in such a way that the molten metal of the plastics is poured into the mold. Then, as you know, if the molten metal temperature is very high, then we will slowly cool the molten metal up to the temperature where it can solidify with the help of an external pressure. Okay, then we will apply the external pressure with the help of a ram, or you can say some other external agency. After that, we will get the required product as per the industrial needs. So this is all about the compression molding. Okay, then we will go for transfer molding. Okay, so in this molding technique called transfer molding, what the phenomenon will take place is the molten metal is poured into one mold which is already prepared. Okay, then the molten metal which is filled up in the mold will be slowly transferred to the another mold, so that during this process what will happen, if any this if any defects, if any, you can say, air holes, blow holes are there in the molten metal of the plastics, they will get automatically removed, and a sound object of the plastics is produced by using a method called transfer molding. Okay, so this is the special feature of molding method called transfer molding. Okay, here in transfer molding we are having the two molds which are prepared well in advance before pouring the molten metal. One mold is meant for holding the molten metal, then from that one mold we will have a passage to flow the molten material, to pass the molten material into the another mold. Okay, that another mold is our, that another mold will be in the shape and size of our end product. So during this process, during this flow of molten mold, what will happen, all the intricacies, all the this internal defects, blowholes, air holes, air cracks of molten metal will be disappeared over a long passage from mold 1 to the mold 2, so that the sound product of plastics is produced by using a transfer molding, by using a transfer molding. Okay, so this is the special feature of a transfer molding. Understand? So this is all about the transfer molding. Next method of molding that we are discussing is blow molding. Blow molding. So in the blow molding, as the name indicates, there will be a sudden blow of molten metal of plastics, so that molten metal will be dispersed throughout the chamber, and the product produced is in some other non-conventional product rather than the this regular product. So with this blow, what will happen? So blow will be given to the molten material, so that through that blow the molten material will occupy its shape and size in the well prepared mold, and the product produced due to this blow molding also gives a defect free component or product which is exclusively used in the industry. Okay, so this is all about the blow molding. So as of now we discussed about compression molding, transfer molding, blow molding. The next remaining method of molding is injection molding. So now I will explain what is injection molding. So in the injection molding, what we will do is, as you know, injection. So there will be a mold in the chamber. Injection of the molten material, that means injecting the molten material into the mold with high pressure. Okay, so that the molten material of the plastics will occupy the mold, or it will take its shape and size readily. Okay, without any delay or without losing any properties of the plastics. Here also the product produced will be of sound quality with no defects in the quality. Okay, this is all about the various molding methods of plastics processings. Plastics processings. Okay, I would like to give you a brief revision before going ahead with the another topics. Okay, a brief review of what we discussed in today's class. Okay, we discussed about plastics, definition of a plastic, categories of plastics like thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. Also, differences between the thermoplastics and thermosetting plastics. Then I also explained you for plastics processing, there are various techniques. Mainly, we will have process techniques and forming techniques. Okay. In the process techniques, the process techniques, the process of converting the given plastic into the required shape and size as per the industrial requirement will be exclusively dealt. So, in the process techniques, we will have again different methods of moulding methods. So, moulding is a process. Okay. So, different moulding methods will come under the process techniques. So, under this process techniques, there are different moulding methods. So, what are the different moulding methods which I explained in today's class is the widely used moulding techniques in the industry are: number one is in transfer moulding, so where the sound quality of the plastics product is produced, that is the first one, transfer moulding. Second one is as you know, injection moulding. So, in this case also the molten metal of the plastics will be injected into the prepared mold cavity, okay, thereby producing a flawless, FLAW hyphen LESS, flawless, that means defectless product in the injection moulding. So, what is the third method of plastics processing is blow molding. In blow molding also, in the entire chapter, in the entire chamber, so the molten material will be blown into the ready-made mold with a high pressure, so that what will happen, the plastic molten material will occupy the all corners and all places of the mold, so that there will be no place left in the mold empty, thereby giving the good quality product of the plastics. Okay. After that, after these three, compression molding, transfer molding, injection molding, blow molding, fourth one is transfer molding. Again, in the transfer molding also, there are two molds. So, plastics molten metal is poured into one mold, and slowly the molten material will be transferred to the another mold. That mold is the actual product what we need in that mold. So the product produced is completely a sound product with any flawless product. Okay. So during this flow of molten material from one mold to another mold, all the what we can say, all the blowholes or any defects or any what you can say, um, surface defects will be taken care of and they will be removed, so that sound quality of the product will be produced. Okay, this is all I explained today. Okay, all this fundamental knowledge and all this the description, all this overview is very much needed before going ahead with the further topics in the plastics processing. Okay, today I'll close the session with this brief overview of plastics processing. Okay, thank you.